Hey guys, thank you so much for joining in. My name is Lauren House and we are on the Social Nostra network with my show Beyond the House. And today I would like to discuss getting your home show ready. And the reason why I wanted to ask or discuss this is because I've been asked some questions about staging. And when you stage your house, it is a huge plus in my opinion. I also want to touch on decluttering your house, which is also getting your house show ready, and odors, which I know sounds kind of weird, but it really can affect certain people when they walk in. So staging is number one. Maybe we should go in order. First, you got to declutter. We'll go in order. So first you have to declutter, and the reason that we all, and by that I mean real estate agents, suggest decluttering, which is not just removing items on your counter. It is making sure that the house looks picture perfect when that buyer walks through the door. You only have one chance to make a first impression. And as soon as the buyer starts seeing personal items in there, and I don't mean perfume out on the counter, I mean pictures and certificates and just anything that's preventing the potential buyer from seeing themselves from living in the house, that's when you want to start removing things. So you want the house to essentially be as if it were coming straight off the press from a builder. There's nothing personal in there. It's decorated very well. It looks nice. It's clean. It's organized, but there's nothing personal in there, which allows people to walk into the space and say, I can see myself living here. I can see my family living here. This is where I would put my furniture. It doesn't distract, which is really what the clutter does. And clutter is just an umbrella word for a lot of things, to be honest with you. So, if you have a couple dishes in the sink, that's totally fine. Like somebody lives there, that's fine. And this is for occupied homes, by the way. So you want to remove personal items. You want to remove anything that maybe has sentimental value or monetary value. I don't suggest having those lie around. I don't think it's smart. Even though everybody comes in with a real estate agent, there are times that we're not with them 100%. So you might want to just think about putting those things away. And then as far as stuff, maybe it's like a bookshelf that's just covered in books and DVDs or whatever you have. Again, your eye is automatically drawn to it when it's your first time going through a house. And I can tell you this from going through many of houses in my years. When I go on home tours, the houses that look picture perfect feel so much more welcoming, and it's a feeling that, okay, I could live here. Whereas when you go in and the bed's not made and there's like shit everywhere, I've literally been in houses like this, and there's crumbs on the counter, or there's rings on the kitchen table, food on the ceiling. Literally, I've seen that. You're just going, okay, like this is gross. I want to get out of here. I just want to run away. This is not something I can see past. And that's the key, is that a lot of buyers cannot see past what is in the house. And that's going to bring us to staging. So when you stage a house, it is smart because it's allowing the people who don't have a vision, no offense to them, but it's allowing the people who don't have a vision to have a better understanding of the size of the room, the scale of the room, how it can be set up. And with the visual of the TV on this wall and the couch here and an extra chair over there with a pool table on the side, maybe they see that and say, I would switch it. I don't like it like this. So it's helping everybody to A, give them a vision, and B, give them their own vision if they don't have the capability to walk into an empty giant room and see like, okay, well, what do I do with this? I've got 4 blank walls or 3 blank walls and some windows. How do I set up my furniture? So I do think that staging helps. There typically is a minimum that you have to rent the furniture for. So sometimes it's 2 months, sometimes it's 3 months. Obviously, the size of the house and the style of the furniture will also determine the price. So I'm not going to give prices right now, but there is a minimum requirement to sign a contract for. And that brings us to the next point, which is when it's a house that you know is going to sell quickly, do you stage it? Maybe it's worth it to you. It kind of depends on how much you want to spend and how quick you want to get your house sold. So if it's a home that really needs it, and by that I mean maybe it has saltillo tile or slate floor. Not everybody likes those. That's not what's in style right now. So I don't want to say that we use staging sometimes to hide the true colors of the house, if you will, but it does help distract and detract from walking in and looking straight at an orange floor, which is saltillo tile, since I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. That's not an easy fix. That's a very, I don't know if it's expensive, but I know that it's not easy in the sense that when you chip it, it comes out in like little pieces. So it's not something that is easily removable and you can just put in a new floor. Like it's a little bit of an obstacle. So I have definitely listed homes and had them staged, and you put down a giant rug in the room and it just, you don't walk in and the focal point is, oh my God, the floor is orange. So it also gives people an idea of how to set up the room, the size of the room, the scale of the room, and it just makes the home feel a little bit more welcoming. Even though it is staged and it will be perfect, and it totally sells the house because you walk in and it's like, oh my gosh, this house is so cute. I'm telling you, the vibe of staging really just, it changes people when they walk through the front door because it's pretty and it's perfect because it's staged. No one's living there, so there's not a mess in the house. You have everything where it needs to be. You have perfect paintings on the wall and perfect greenery in the right places. And it just makes it feel more of a home. And again, it's a neutral home. By decluttering and that staged look, it appeals to more people. So, so yeah, I don't think that staging is a bad idea, especially if it's a big house or you have really big rooms, or maybe it's an awkward floor plan. Maybe it's just one of those that you don't really know what to do with it because there's one too many rooms in there. You know, the trend is kind of going away from having a formal living room, a formal dining room, informal kitchen, and informal family room. You know, you have all these different rooms in the house, and people just really want an open floor plan now. And that one open floor plan can really encompass it all. You can have, you know, the island with some bar stools. You can have your family room in there, and then the kitchen's right behind it with a dining table. Like, it's, everybody wants something different, and the open floor plan is a little less formal, whereas having all the formal rooms and technically the walls are up in between, that makes it a little bit more traditional, I guess would be the right word. So I think that covers staging. And then the last one I wanted to discuss was odor. And I know odor sometimes has, well, I think most of the time, has a negative connotation, and I don't necessarily mean that. And I'll start off on the positive note is I've been in many houses where a seller or an agent has an open house, or we're going into a showing and somebody has a very strong candle or incense or what's the other stuff? I don't know what they're called. I don't use them. But anything that gives off a smell, any smell you choose, I'm just not gonna lie, it's gonna piss somebody off. Like, somebody will walk in, and I have been with many clients who walk into the house and like, oh my gosh, I can't be in here. And it instantly gives them a headache, and you just lost that buyer. So I know that for a majority of people, it does smell good. Like, I'm not a pumpkin fan, and around Halloween time, everybody has these pumpkin candles going, and I walk in and I'm like, I'm in and out. I can't stand the smell. I do not want to talk to anybody. It gives me a headache. I don't like it. So if it weren't my job, I probably wouldn't even bother going in. So you have to keep that in mind, that you're trying to showcase your house to as many people as possible. And unfortunately, by doing what you think is the right thing, it can be an offensive smell to somebody who either doesn't like it or it's too strong and it causes the headache. So obviously do what you want. That's just my experience, and my personal experience and my experience with clients over the years is I do have some clients who it affects more than others. So, and then we've got pet odor and personal odor. And it's actually more common than you think. I don't quite know how to get it out. And I know that's the worst solution ever. I do think that cleaning the house well, probably having the carpets cleaned if there are any, maybe keeping the windows open or some sort of odor eater like the baking soda. You know, if you have an animal, that definitely can overtake the smell, overtake the house. So a lot of the times it's dogs. Most people would think that it's cats, but it's not, at least in my opinion. I don't smell litter boxes. I always smell dog. And there's been times, you know, if you have turf, please wash your turf in the backyard, because you go in the backyard, we're here in Arizona, it's 100 degrees out. I'm sorry, but like the smell of dog pee is not going to make somebody want somebody to purchase your home. So it's all these things. And I think that our nose, what's that commercial about being nose blind? It's a very true fact that you are used to all of your own smells. You have no idea what you smell like. And hopefully your agent, bless their soul, because it's not easy to tell somebody, hey, we have to work on this. But it is part of our job to let you know that, hey, this is either the feedback that we're getting, or before we list the house, these are the smells that I'm smelling. How can I help you remedy this? Because like I said earlier, you have one chance to make a first impression. And if you walk in and the house smells terrible, it's a deterrent. I don't really know how else to say that. It's a total deterrent. So you want to make sure that the house is clean, the house looks good, you have all the lights on. I'm totally a proponent for music. If you can find some sort of classical music, or on Spotify, there actually are open house playlists. And then that way it's not, you know, it's not rock, and it's not talk radio, and it's not jazz. Like, again, you can't please everybody, but at least it's just something mellow. And it just changes the energy when you walk in the room to a house that has music going, a nice smell, the lights are on, all the blinds are open, it's clean, everything's in place. It just increases your chances of selling your house. And all of these things they take a little bit of work, and they take a little bit of time. Obviously, they could take a little bit of money depending on if you're staging or if you just need to get professional cleaners through there. But every single one of these is going to increase your chance of selling your home quicker, because without these, you have to remember, as a seller, every buyer is walking in and trying to figure out how they can get money off of the purchase price that you are asking. How can they do that? Well, if it's saying that, you know, well, it's Saltillo floor and that's dated and I have to redo it all, maybe the staging would help. Maybe you have to find an out-of-state buyer who likes Saltillo tile, who likes the Santa Fe look. Not everybody hates it. It's just not trending. So, you know, you've got some homework as a seller. And I do think that cleanliness is probably going to be number one, because I think that cleanliness affects and influences is the most important. Because if you walk in and you see like there's stains on the baseboards and the light switches are all dirty and like ridden hard and put back wet, I shouldn't use that term, but that is how I feel some houses are. It's like a family of 25 lived here and they moved out and didn't bother to clean or touch anything up or even wipe the counter off. And you just go through and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to touch anything in here. And part of that is, to me, pride of the real estate agent. Like, I do believe that this is your job, this is your reputation. You should absolutely make sure the house is picture perfect before you list it. That's just me. That's how I operate. That's how I work. But as the seller, you should also use your eyes and make sure that if I walked in here as a buyer and I've never been in this house before, what's the first thing that my eye is going to be drawn to? And again, if it's a vacant house, it makes it so much easier. You have it cleaned one time. And then if it's staged, you've got the staging there. If it is a vacant house, that also can come with a funny smell, to be honest with you, depending how long it sits there. I highly suggest leaving the air conditioning on, especially if you're in Arizona and especially if it's in the summertime, because walking into a really hot house doesn't make anybody want to stay. Your goal is to make somebody feel comfortable and feel at home. And walking into a house that's either freezing cold, which is not really that cold here, but in the wintertime it can be, walking into a vacant house, or if you're walking into a house that has no air conditioning on, like those two extremes are the absolute worst. And I can tell you, we don't end up staying that long in either situation. So if you want to increase your chances of having more people through your house, as well as having people stay in the house longer to see themselves living there, to see themselves becoming a family or nesting in this specific house, you have to make it as comfortable as possible for the people who will be going through. And these are the 3 top things I would say to think about. So you've got odors, whether they're good or bad in your opinion, decluttering to make it a little bit more, it's just like a broad wall. It's like a clean slate, right? They just want to walk in and see furniture. They want to see the structure of the house. And then last but not least, if that house is vacant, staging the house, because this can, in my opinion, it works very quickly and it works very well. So those are my 3 tips for making your house show ready before you put it on the market. So take a chance and start digging down these holes, seeing what you can do to get your house ready for the market. My name is Lauren House, and this is Beyond the House on the Social Nostra Network. And thank you so much. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to leave a comment below, or you can contact me on Instagram. I promise I will respond. Anything I can do to help. Thanks.